It is the college football playoff semifinals. Without giving out any official College Corner plays, I just want to pull up the game previews that you can find on dimers.com and sort of talk through exactly what the model sees. So the way college football works, we've got the first semifinal tonight on Thursday night, and then we've got the second semifinal on Friday night. Nice little standalone spots for each of these. First game up here is Miami, Florida against Ole Miss, two teams that I think are shocked to find themselves here. And not much of an edge that you can find. Once again, the odds makers did a phenomenal job with setting the lines for this game. Now, you can find a slight edge, just talking just over 1% on the under at 52.5. And if you've watched these playoffs, I think that's the side that I would land on as well. Miami, Florida's trenches have just dominated. They've been the story of the playoffs. That Texas A&M game in round one was basically I forget, I think it was like a 3-0 football game for 3 quarters. Mm-hmm. And then they really held their own against Ohio State as pretty sizable underdogs. Ohio State, the defending national champs and one of the most prolific offenses in the sport. Miami just cut the water off. And I think there's a good chance that they can do that to Ole Miss. The hard part with betting this game is that Ole Miss has so much attrition going on because Lane Kiffin left this team before the playoff. And if this was Ole Miss truly at full, even coaching staff strength, I think you would love Ole Miss on the money line as an underdog, Ole Miss catching 3.5 as a key number over a field goal. I can still talk my way into that, and even Dimer's model projects just a 3-point win. But for me, they really have lost assistant coaches. They've got guys that are just waiting for the season to end to move their families and take new jobs. And it's an unprecedented situation in college football, given how good Miami has been at dominating the line of scrimmage in these 2 games. I think you have to trust that Miami will find a way to win this game. If it were me, I think I would be taking Miami minus 3.5. And I do like the under because if it plays true to what we expect here, there's a world where Ole Miss's offense just has a nightmare night. Miami's playing control the clock type game script. And I could see this even being like maybe a 24-7 type ball game where Miami just dominates the Ole Miss offense. So there you have it. That's the first semifinal. Once again, we would love to come into this and say, hey, there's a bet with a humongous edge. There just isn't, at least in this first semifinal here. Let's take a look at props quickly. You can stay in props for just a moment. Sorry, I was kind of teasing as if we were going to leave. So again, Malachi Toney is probably the one guy I'd be looking to bet here. He has been a breakout star for Miami, excuse me. Ole Miss is the defense I would expect to give up some big plays. Given the uncertainties with the coaching staff, I really am staying away from all types of Ole Miss props here, but Malachi Toney has been the emerging threat for Miami throughout the second half of the season. I think that line feels a little low at 60.5. He really is a big game, big play threat. He could break that in 1 to 2 catches in this game. So it's good to see the model show almost a 5% edge and a high probability. That's the only prop that I'm even looking at tonight is Malachi Toney receiving yards. We can move next to tomorrow night's game, which to me is the more exciting of the 2 semifinals here. Indiana and Oregon rematch after these 2 teams did play a fun game in Eugene, a home game for Oregon in the regular season. Indiana ended up winning that game by 10 points, and that was a little bit of a misleading result as well because Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner, threw a pick 6 to keep Oregon in that game. It would have been a 17-point victory for Indiana, if not for a mistake we haven't seen him make anywhere else. Once again, you can see negative edges pretty much across the board, a slight lean on the under here. I got to say, I've been sort of fading this Indiana team a lot, and I keep really being frustrated with myself. Remember, we had Alabama over Indiana in the Rose Bowl as our best bet last week. And within a drive, I felt really, really stupid about that. You don't want to let 1 week's result affect your next week's result. I got to be honest. I'm coming back to Oregon plus 3.5 here as the spot. And the main reason why is this. I think when we see familiarity in college football, it often benefits the team that lost the first game, at least when they're two teams of similar talent. And I would point to a couple different spots with playoff teams that this has applied to. Earlier this season, we saw Alabama beat Georgia in the regular season. They met again in the SEC championship, and Georgia destroyed them. We saw Georgia beat Ole Miss in the regular season. We saw them meet in the first round of the playoff, even without Lane Kiffin, and Ole Miss was the better side for that game. These two teams, other than the coaching disadvantage, which is crazy to call Dan Lanning a disadvantage, but Cignetti's that good. These two rosters are very similar in talent. You could even argue that Oregon has the more talented side defensively. They've got 5 stars everywhere. Dante Moore was the former #1 quarterback in his class. Dante Moore is still lurking as a potential threat to Fernando Mendoza for being the #1 pick in the draft. And I think familiarity is going to benefit the Ducks here. They know what Indiana is. Most teams have a feeling out process where, oh, it's Indiana. We are the side that, can handle them. And then you look up and you're one quarter in like, oh my God, they're for real. The Ducks know how for real the Hoosiers are. They need to be firing on all cylinders. I think you're going to see an aggressive Dan Lanning in a way he did not call the game the first time against Indiana. And look, if I fade Curt Cignetti again and lose again, I think there's only one way I could conclude the college football playoff run, by backing Cignetti out of respect in the championship game. But the odds maker set the line in the right spot again. It's just picking your personal preference. I will be on Oregon plus 3.5 with a light sprinkle on Oregon money line in this game, despite the fact that we really see no edge on either side.
Cool. Thanks, Greg. That is really interesting about the rematches basically between the teams, and it does kind of make sense. College is so high variance and short-lived these seasons, that there's often not a lot of time to course correct. So you focus on the spots that you need, which often are teams that you're likely to face again. And so it checks out. Any thoughts on any prop value in this game at all, or nothing doing for you?
That top one is probably the one to call out. Charlie Becker has been such a stud for Indiana in their biggest games. He had this breakout performance in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. And I think, he had a really quiet regular season. And then all of a sudden, some absences in the wide receiver room have opened up him being really the second target for Mendoza in the playoffs. And I don't think the odds makers have caught up to that just yet. I think they're still, kind of valuing him as if he isn't in the role that he's now playing, given some of the injuries in the receiver room. So I do think, it depends on game script. If Indiana controls the game early, you could see them really play conservatively here, I think. But we know they're a team that likes to strike early and often. We know they're a team that likes big plays. And if my best bet is correct and Indiana, God forbid, is down late in this game, I think they're going to look to Becker early and often. So depending on where you want to play this, you see the FanDuel odds there is the best place to bet over 2.5 receptions. If you can find a book that can ladder Charlie Becker receptions as well, I might look at a small ladder. I think there's a world there where he gets 5, 6, 7 receptions in this game if the game script plays out the way I foresee it.
There's nothing I love more than a ladder with someone in a good spot. It's my favorite.
Yep, you got to love it. All right, so there you have it. Once again, I'm mad at the odds makers for being so dialed in on all of this, but only one more college football playoff game after these two. It will be the national championship, and we'll have a full preview of that next week on this show.